Have you ever left a meeting knowing you had the better idea and somehow it didn't land? Someone else said almost the same thing 2 minutes later, and that time the room nodded. You are left wondering what just happened. Was it my words, style, tone, or accent? It might be the words you are reaching for without realizing it, quietly telling people something you never meant to say. Hi, I am Marian, and on this channel, I share lessons from my journey and from my book, Breaking Through the Immigrant Handbook for Thriving in the American Workplace, to help immigrant professionals navigate the American workplace with more clarity, confidence, and strategy. You might be one of the hardest working people on your team. You might know the material better than anyone else in the room. You might have spent years building the expertise that got you here. And still, in meetings, in emails, in conversations with leadership, you come across as less certain than you actually are. This is not about your accent. This is not about your personality. And it's not your fault. A lot of us were raised to be respectful, careful with words, mindful of not overstepping people with more seniority. Where many of us come from, that's not weakness, that's maturity. That is respect. And a lot of us, it's not only the words, it's everything sitting underneath them. Who speaks first? How directly you're allowed to disagree? How much space is yours to take? Nobody hands you that rule book. Nobody hands you that playbook. But in a lot of American workplace cultures, confidence is read not only through what you know, it's read through how you say it. Confidence isn't only what you feel, it's also how you communicate. So today, let's talk about 4 small patterns, 4 ways we quietly soften our own message without meaning to. And not exactly what to say instead without becoming loud, aggressive, or someone you are not. So the first pattern is the hedge. It sounds like, I'm not sure, but maybe we could try this. Or, this might not work, but what if we do this because we don't want to sound arrogant. We don't want to sound arrogant, right? And if you're translating your thoughts before it leaves your mouth, you're overthinking it, hedging can feel like the safer landing. Fear says, don't claim it. If you are wrong, everyone will know it was you. When you introduce your idea as uncertain, the room treats it as uncertain. People nod, move on until someone else says almost the same thing, but with more conviction, and that version gets followed up on. Not because your idea was weaker, but because your framing told the room not to take it seriously. Let's say you have spent 2 weeks figuring out why a process keeps breaking down. You raise it and you say something like, I'm not sure, but maybe we could try changing the approval steps. The room moves on. 15 minutes later, a colleague says almost the same thing, and the team works through it with them. Same idea, different framing, only one of you gets the credit. So instead of saying, I'm not sure, but maybe we could, you could say, one option I recommend is. Instead of saying, I'm not sure, but maybe we could, say, one option I recommend is. You are not claiming the only answer. You are simply saying your idea like it's worth considering. You are saying, how about considering this idea? Okay, because it's an idea. Okay, so the second pattern is the apology before they ask. The apology before they ask. Sorry, you say something like, sorry, I just wanted to ask. Sorry, quick question. Sorry to bother you. Sorry this, sorry that. But if you've caught yourself saying this before a completely normal question, you are not alone. We do it because we don't want to interrupt. don't want to seem demanding. And some of us are also carrying the worry of being seen as the one who doesn't get it. That apology can feel like protection. It isn't. It's the task. The tax is what you're going to keep paying. The tax. How do you say that word? It's the tax you keep paying on every question. Fear says, don't take up space. Someone might think you're too much. When you apologize before asking something reasonable, you're telling the room your question is an inconvenience before anyone has heard it. People start associating your voice with hesitation instead of insights. Let's say you're in a quick check-in with senior leadership and you open a real question with, sorry, I just wanted to ask. The leader have answers and moves on. A few weeks later, you open with, I have a question about the deadline, and the room actually slows down. You get a real answer instead of a rushed one. Instead of saying, sorry, I just wanted to ask, say, I have a question about. You can still be warm. You can still be polite. You don't need to apologize for participating. And the third pattern is the disclaimer. We start with something like, I might be wrong, but this is probably a silly question, but I could be missing something, but this usually comes from wanting to protect ourselves, especially when you're trying to prove yourself in a new role, right? In a new position, in a new team, in a new environment. When one visible mistake can feel like it costs you more than it costs someone else. Fear says protect yourself. Say it might be wrong before they get the chance to say it. But a disclaimer tells people to discount what you're about to say before they have even heard it. You could be sharing the most accurate observation in the room, and the disclaimer convinces everyone to file it under probably not right. Let's say you are 6 months into a role, reviewing a timeline before it gets to the client. You notice testing isn't accounted for, but you are still new, so you say, I might be wrong, but I think testing might be missing. Someone says, we'll double check, and the meeting moves on. The timeline shapes as is. 2 months later, the team scrambles because there's no room left for testing. The thing you saw clearly the first time got dismissed, not because it wasn't true, but because of how you said it. Instead of saying, I might be wrong, but say, here's what I am noticing. Here is what I am noticing. You are not claiming certainty. You are not claiming certainty you don't have. You are also not erasing your own credibility before you've had the chance to be heard. Pattern number 4. The same question that puts the burden on someone else. This pattern shows up at the end, not at the beginning. It's closing an explanation, a presentation, an update with, does that make sense? It sounds considerate. I've said it many times and I continue to say it and I'm trying to change. It sounds considerate, like you're checking in, but you're really asking each person to publicly admit they didn't follow you. Most people won't, even if they are confused. So you get a room full of nodding and you walk away thinking you communicated clearly, when really you just made it hard for everyone else to say otherwise. Fear says, ask for reassurance. Make sure no one thinks you got it wrong. But if you're already working twice as hard to make sure it lands well, that question can feel protective. It isn't. It just hides the work you already did. Let's say you finish an update with, does that make sense? Everyone nods. 20 minutes later, your inbox has 3 messages asking you to re-explain pieces of it privately because nobody wanted to say they were confused out loud. The next month you close with, what questions do you have? This is great. What questions do you have? Two people raise real follow-up questions right there in the room. The kind that actually moves the project forward. The kind that actually move the questions move the project forward. Instead of saying, does that make sense? Say, what questions do you have? One sentence. It assumes competence on your part and gives people an easy way to engage if they need to. This doesn't cost you all at once. It costs you quietly. one hedge instead of a recommendation, one apology instead of a question, one disclaimer instead of an observation. Your job title, your title, your paycheck are all still there, but the credit may be going somewhere else, and the room may quietly decide you need more confidence when really you just need different words. That's how this costs you. Not all at once, a little every meeting until it adds up to a reputation you never meant to build. None of these 4 patterns mean something is wrong with you. Most of us didn't learn them from a textbook. There's no playbook. We learned them from watching and from getting it wrong in front of people more than once. And for a lot of us, there was no one to ask, right? No mentor who already worked in the workplace could tell you what "let's circle back" really means, or how loud it is. Is it too loud? Or when humble starts to look like invisible. You were building that playbook in real time, usually the handbook. So this kind of communication isn't a weakness, it's survival. None of these 4 patterns mean something is wrong with you. Most of us didn't learn them from a textbook. We learned them from watching and from getting it wrong in front of people more than once. Clarity and ownership happen to be the currency in many workplaces. Learning to speak with more directness and clarity means adding one more skill to everything you already carry. So here is something practical. Pick something. Pick just one of these. Maybe it is dropping sorry before your questions. Maybe it's ending your next update with what questions do you have instead of does that make sense. Practice it in your next meeting. Notice what changes in how people respond to you. Write it on a sticky note next to your laptop if you need to, not because you forget what to say, but because under pressure, the old habit wants to come out first. A small reminder buys you that half second to catch yourself and choose the stronger version instead. The goal is for your communication to finally match the work you're already putting in, so that when you speak, the room hears exactly how capable you are. You need to communicate with clarity, confidence, and ownership so your value is not misunderstood. And I want you to put this in the comments. Which one of these are you going to catch yourself doing this week? You can simply write, I'm dropping the sorry. I'm trying one option I recommend. I am ending with what questions do you have? Let's make it practical, because growth doesn't happen when we are inspired. Growth happens when we act. If this message helped you, like the video, share it with a friend who needs it, and subscribe for more conversations on confidence, visibility, and thriving in the workplace. And if you're already subscribed, thank you. I truly appreciate you, because you matter. You deserve to grow. You deserve to thrive. And I am cheering you on.